All right, I've handed out a piece of paper to you, and in addition, I have emailed you some stuff that we're going to use that's in that piece of paper. So if you look in your email, you'll see that you've got something that says for material for Part 0 of ASP.NET class project starting today, Wednesday, 10/2/2019. Can't say that's not a long enough title. All right. So what I'd like you to do, please, is to grab that file. All right, and I think I've got it already on my system, but I'm just going to remove it because I'm going to work along with you. So there it is. I'm throwing it in there now. So I'm just going to start from scratch, just as you are. And I'm going to right mouse click on this. It's called Sales Orders 10/20 or 10/2019. And I'm going to do a save link as and just throw it out on my desktop. All right. And now I can close this and try to find that in this mess. There it is. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do, as I would typically do, is to unzip it. So I'm going to do that. And why? Because we're going to use it, but also because I want to quickly tell you what is in there. All right. So if you were to open it up, this is what you see. There are 9 .SQL files that we're going to use to build a database right now. All right? And it's very simple. I've run through it 3 times. If there's an error, I'm going to be amazed if anybody has an error. All right? I've created the database, dropped it, created it again, dropped it, created it again this morning, and dropped it. And it worked all 3 times. So, all right. Now, if you remember, those of you who were in the class with me last semester, and I'm not sure what Evan may or may not have done, but when we talked database, we worked with this database right here. It was called Sales Orders, and there were about, I don't know, X number of customers, and there were 8 employees. There were about 900 orders. Those order details were almost 4,000. There were about 6 categories. There were about 40 products. There were, X number of product vendors, etc. But the point is, this is what we have. And as I think I mentioned to you, this is what I plan on using for the project that we're going to do that is going to, in some ways at least, resemble the sports store project that we just finished working on. But I wanted to go further than that. And what I mean is the sports store project that's in our text goes through chapter 12. You all know that. Then in chapter 13, the author attempts to take that project and deploy it to Azure. We're going to attempt to do that early next week, probably Monday or Monday and Tuesday. We'll see how it goes. All right. But then as the book goes on, and you probably have seen this before, but whatever, I'm just going to whip back here to the beginning of the text. And when you look here, there's other stuff that's in here that we've never talked about or haven't talked about yet. All right, overview of MVC projects, advanced routing, when you can basically configure your own routes in much more depth and breadth of coverage, all right, than we're used to doing, all right, because we haven't really done that much with the route config. You might think we have, but we really and truly have not. And then once we get done with that, when you look at the rest of the stuff that's in here, controller extensibilities, working more with views, all right, working more with both regular helper methods and templated helper methods, all right, then getting into Ajax. We talked a little bit, I believe, back in the days of JavaScript about Ajax, but what Ajax is more than anything else, partial page refresh, all right? So in other words, it's like when you use Google Maps and you go and you move in or you move out from Google Maps, the whole screen isn't redrawn. Only the part that needs to be redrawn is redrawn. I want us to put that into our project. All right? talk a little bit more about model binding, a little bit more about model validation. And then to finish up on that, all right, I want us to do some bundling, show you how to minify all of your CSS files together, how to minify all of your JavaScript files together, etc. So the idea is hopefully what we're going to be able to do is to incorporate the rest of the stuff that's in here. All right. Now, I asked yesterday when we got done, I said, how many people actually got this thing to work? And a few hands went up. And my hope is that if you didn't get it to work, you worked on it to try to get it to work, or it was darn close. All right? And the reason that I'm saying that is I'm planning on giving a test a week from Friday. Not this Friday, the 4th, next Friday, the 11th. All right? And that's good because, not that anybody has to say a word about this, but next Friday, the 11th, is my 39th wedding anniversary. So I can sit there and try to figure out what the hell to buy my wife after 39 years that she doesn't already have. And because most stuff I get her, she doesn't want anyway, and she just returns it. But it'll give me some time to think about that. All right? So on the 11th, when you come in here, okay, and I will tell you right now, this test will incorporate much of the material that is both what we've gone through in the sports store project and what we will continue to go through in this project, the sales order project. All right? Like what? All right? Like pagination will be in there. Being able to create your own forms will be in there. Maybe some administration stuff. It won't be anything that you haven't already had. I would strongly suggest that when that day comes and you are taking the test, what you may want to do is you may want to have the PDF open from the book, and you may want to have your project open, because you may be able to either take some code and copy it, or at least look at it for the logic that you used in order to do something. All right? Okay. I didn't know on that test, technically I could break that test up over 2 days. And I'm sure that if you had 8 hours, you probably could do a really, really good job. Paul only gave his people 3 hours to do it. All right, so I'm actually giving you more time than they had. And I'm not saying that's a great thing or a bad thing. I guess we'll see as we go on. All right, so jumping back into what we're doing today. This is the database. So we're going to create this right now. What I'd like you to do is you can start up a new project, whatever you want. You can have an empty project. It really doesn't matter. But I'd like you to get in where we can bring up the list of databases that we have under local DB project 13, etc. If the easiest way for you to do that is to go in and create a brand new empty project, then do that. All right? So I'm just going to remove a few things, and that's what I'll do. All right, this is another thing I've been working on. So, all right. So if I come through here then and say File, I'm going to close the solution so I don't have any solution up right now, and I'm just going to create a new project. All right, and I'm going to put in here blank. All right, for blank solution, and it's just going to be practice, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. You're not going to ever turn this in anyway. All right, so it says what name do you want for your project? I'm just going to call it practice. Again, it doesn't matter what you call it. I save all my stuff, you already know this, out onto the desktop. So there that is, and I'm going to tell it to create. I'm not going to use anything today that's over here. Nothing today that's over here. All right? This will be the only day I'm going to use this project. Since there's nothing in it, it'll be very easy to get rid of at the end of the day. All that makes sense? All right. Then, if this is not showing right now, if your window basically looks like this, go out to View and choose SQL Server Object Explorer, which is the 5th or 6th one down, please. All right, View, and then SQL Server Object Explorer. and it should come up, again, probably looking more like something like this. All right, again, you may have one thing there, 2 or 3 like I do. It doesn't matter. But one of the ones that you have there should be the one that we've been using for things, and that is the local DB projects V13. All right, we all should have that. So go ahead and open that one up. Now again, I've got a lot more junk in here than you do. That's not important. I'm not using any of that right now. But where it says databases, right there, I'd like you to right mouse click on that folder that says databases and choose add new database. And that'll bring this window up. I've said this to you before, and I find this interesting, and what I'm about to tell you, I break the rule. But please, when you are creating this stuff, don't use blank spaces. All right, some of you continue to do that, and to me, it's just a recipe for possible problems. All right, so I'm going to call this sales orders. Sales, one word, orders, another word, put together with a big S and a big O. Just like that, sales orders. All right. Once I've got that in, I'm going to click OK. And now in my list over here, you'll notice I now have something that says sales orders right there. You should notice the same thing on yours. If for some reason you don't, you're like, well, I did what you said and it's not there. If that happens, then come up here and way up on top and click on the left here, click your refresh button. That'll close that, but you'll have to reopen it. And then when you do that and go under databases, you should see your sales orders. You should. Now, if you say I did all that stuff and I don't see anything, then raise your hand. All right. Now, before we go on, what we're going to be using to populate this database, again, is what I mentioned to you before. That is the thing that I just had, that I emailed to you, that I asked you to unzip. So I'm going to take all 9 of these files, and I'm just going to open all of them in Notepad++. All right? The file that's entitled 00, it looks like this. It's got the schema for the database in it. I just want to spend a minute talking about it, literally a minute. You better run that one first, because otherwise you're trying to populate a database that has no database schema. All right? I base this off of that actual database that's out there. So the reason I'm telling you that is if you take a look, all right, for customers, they started their first customer was 1001. So when I didn't just set an identity, because by default when you say identity it starts at 1 and it increments by 1, I wanted it to start at 1001 and increment by 1. All right, that should make sense to everybody. All right, you'll notice that there's a lot of stuff in many of the tables that can be null. Not a problem. Employees, we start at 700. I believe there's 8 employees, and they're employees 701, 702, all the way to 708. All right, you'll see that in just a couple minutes. All right, there's a vendors table. There's a products table. They're put in this order, all right, because then there's no conflicts. In other words, if you look on the screen here, if I put in product vendors first, one of the fields in product vendors is product number. It's grabbing that product number from here. So you have to put in products before you put in product vendors. Does that make sense to everybody? All right, so there is a rhyme and reason for the way that this is ordered. Same thing with order and order details. All right? And afterwards, there are some extra indexes that are put in here. All right, and some foreign keys and stuff that's set up. So the easiest way to do this is with this file open, this 00SO schema, is to just highlight all of it, Control-A, Control-C, so I highlighted all of it and copied it to the clipboard. All right. Then I'm coming back into my project here, and what I want to do is I want to go down to my new database called Sales Orders. That's right here. I want to right mouse click on it and choose New Query. It's funny that this goofy stuff, it only happens when I'm in this room. I was working on it this morning. It didn't happen once. All right. Now that this is open, just paste it in. And when you are ready, if everything seems to be hunky-dory to you, just click the button right here, not the run button, the button that's right here that says execute, because that'll execute the query. All right, I'll do the same. If everything works, all you'll get is a single message back that says commands completed successfully. All right. So it's letting me know that all of those create table commands worked. It's letting me know that those things where I put on indices or indexes worked. And it's letting me know that all the foreign keys I set up worked. All right. Now, you might say, fine. But, you know, I actually kind of like it when somebody says, okay, but I don't believe you. All right. So I'm going to come back in here because I don't need this one anymore. I'm going to just do a Control A and I'm going to remove that. And I'm going to remove this message from here too. So they're both gone. But to prove that they're in there, and again, I'm going to show you on mine, but you may have to refresh your database again. I just showed you how to do that. But I'm going to come over here to Sales Orders. I'm just going to click on the arrow. Now I'm going to click on the arrow for tables. And lo and behold, I now have those 8 tables in here. Again, if you don't see them, you may have to go back and refresh your database. If I knew why some people have to do that and other people never have to, I'd let you know. But I'm not sure why that's the case. Anybody have any problems so far? All right. Then with this empty, now I'm going to go, and again, this is my query window right here. I'm going to go back into here, and now I want file 01. So you'll notice when we look in here, these are our categories. Notice what field is in there, and then notice what field is not in there. The field that's in there is category description. The field that is not in there is category ID. And the reason that category ID is not in there is because we set it up as an identity field. All right? And it's fine that it starts with 1. We only have 6 categories, so when we get done and you take a look at this, it should show you for the IDs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the corresponding thing should be accessories, bikes, clothing, components, car racks, and wheels. Okay? So again, I'm going to do a Control A to copy. I'm sorry, a Control A to highlight and a Control C to copy. Then I'm going to go back in here into my window again, and I'm going to paste it in. And then once again, I'm going to click this green arrow right here. Now, the message you get is different. Every row that it's successfully put in, it shows you down here. See this? The reason I'm telling you this is when we put in the last one, there's 9,351 rows. All right? So you'll get 9,351 of those messages, just so you know that. All right? I don't really care. So again, I'm just going to remove what's in the bottom one here. In fact, I'll remove what's in both of them. But now, I should have that information should be in that table. Now, I'm not doing this, but if you look up on the screen here, I could click over here where it's got categories. I could right mouse click on that and say show table data. I can do that. There's not a problem with doing that. I don't like to mix it where I've got the query window open and just keep going back and forth like that. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to say select star from categories. All right, and then again run the query, and it should show you then, should show you your categories. All right. So try doing that, and if you get an error or something doesn't seem to work, then let me know. Now, I could do this every time for all 8 of these tables. I don't see the reason to do that, but I could. Now, if you look on the screen here, I'm going to write one more query. I know that I'm supposed to have 6 categories, because I just showed you the file. So I'm going to write a different query here that just says select count star from categories. And you'll notice when I run that, it just gives me the number. So for every other one of the tables that I put in, I'm going to run that query, but I'm going to change the name of the table each time. So the next one we're going to do is customers. We're going to put in the customers that we have. I think there's 27 customers. And after we do that, I'm going to run select count star from customers, and this should say 27. Does all that make sense? Questions? Problems with anything? All right. So I'm going to remove this. I can't really remove this, but it'll be replaced in a minute, this. All right. So go back into here, into my and so far I've gone through file 0 and file 1. File 0 was the schema, file 1 is the categories. So now I want to go into file 2. These are my customers. All right. I want you to start realizing, if you look on the screen, what do we have here? Well, there's a mapping that's here that says cust first name Suzanne, cust last name Viscas, cust street address 15127 Northeast 24th, cust number 383, cust city Redmond, cust state WA for Washington, cust zip code 98052, cust area code 425, cust phone number 555-2686. All right. Again, you notice that what's left out of there, all right, is the customer ID, because again, it is set up as an identity column. So again, here's our customers. I'm again going to do a Control A to select all, a Control C to copy it to the clipboard. Then I'm going to go back into here, into my top window here. I'm going to paste it in. And after I paste it in, I'm going to again click this green arrow that's right here. I could take the time, if I wanted to count and make sure there's 27 of these. I'm just going to take for granted that there is. In fact, I'm going to prove it by removing what I just put in there and typing in select star from customers. And when I run this, I'll get all 27 of the customers. They're all in there. All right. There they are. Now, if I want to double check and make sure there's 27, select count star from customers. And when I put that in, 27. All right. And again, I'm not trying to be funny, sarcastic, or anything here. This isn't rocket science what we're doing so far. All right. We're just populating the database. So that's the first two. So I'm going back again into my file, and now I can remove 02 customers because that's in there, and I've got to find 03 and 03 are the employees. Again, I just keep doing the same thing. All right. You'll notice now that there's less because I think there's, like I said, 7 or 8 employees, and again, they should start with 701 should be our first employee because we set that up as an identity field, but we set it up to start at 701. So Control A, Control C. I'm going to go back into here and move that down, paste this in, run it. All right, looks like it worked. Get rid of all the stuff on the top. Select count star from employees. This should come back with 8, and it does. If I want to see them, I can just say select star from employees. I can run that, And again, once I do, you again notice it starts with 701. All right, and again, I just used the existing data that was in there. Plus, it gave me a chance to talk a little bit about how you can change your beginning value, etc. All right, so we put in 3 of the 8 tables. Any problems so far? Anybody? All right, so then I'm just going to continue on. So the next one that's in here, number 4, those are vendors. Again, I don't know how many vendors there are. I think it was 9, but I could be wrong. And again, you can see this. The vendor's name, Schema Incorporated. The vendor street address, 3042, 19th Avenue South. Their city, Bellevue. Their state, Washington. Their zip code, 98001. All right, their phone number, it's all put in together now. Their fax number, it's all in there together now. Their web page, which can be null, and their email address. All right, so again, I'm going to Control A, Control C, come back into here, paste it in again, run the query. All right, do my select, count, star from vendors, and it comes back and it says there were 10. Again, if I want to see them, just to make sure everything looks good, I can do my select star from vendors, and there they are. You'll notice in this case, we did not put a special start value on the identity. So our first vendor has a vendor ID of 1. All right? All that makes sense. Okay. Then to continue on, number 5 here, these are products. When I get done running this, I want to show you something because there is something different about this. All right? So, Control A, Control C, bring it in here, paste it in, run the query. Looks like it again worked. Select, count, star from products. And it says that we have a total of 40 products. This is where it's a little bit different. I just want to show this to you now. Don't worry about changing anything now, but I want to show it to you. Notice when I do a select star from products. All right? There's a real big thing missing here. And that real big thing is there are no product descriptions in here. All right? And guess what? I'm going to let you add the product descriptions. In fact, eventually, we're going to have 2 types of product descriptions. We're going to have like product description short and product description long. I mentioned this to you yesterday or the other day, but I just want to say it again. And that is the fact that ideally, when we get going on this and you bring up a products page, you might have, I don't know, let's say 5 products per page. All right? And one of the things that'll be on there will be a button that'll say something like more. It'll either be a button or maybe it'll even be a hyperlink. But when you click it, it'll show just information about that product. So on this page, when you have 5 products, you'll have a short description. All right? When you click the more button, you'll have a picture of the product, a bigger picture, and a large description. Does that make sense? All right, because it's more reminiscent of what you'd actually have in there. Now, you might say, well, then why'd you pull the description out? I didn't. They were not given. All right, in the actual database itself, there's no description in there given. All right. And how realistic does this have to be? I don't want you to go out to lipsum.org and fill it in like that. All right, I want it to be somewhat reflective. I don't care if it's If right here it's really about a Trek 9000 mountain bike, but it should be something about a bike. All right? This is one of the things I'm going to ask that come this spring when you are performing on your last day here, right before you get the heck out of here and graduate, that you're going to show this project and you're going to show what you did. Tomorrow we're going to come in and we're going to build the home controller We're going to actually build probably 12 or so different controllers tomorrow. All right, when we come in here, I'm going to show you how my home page looks, but guess what? I want every one of your home pages to look different. All right? So again, for Luke, if it's going to be, these are all things in a bike shop. For Luke, if it's Luke's bike shop, great. He can make his own logo, he can do whatever he wants. For Evan, if he just wants to call it World of Bikes, that's fine. I don't want the descriptions to be the same. I want you all to be putting your own little touch on this. All right? So again, sooner or later, we will be updating this database, and we will be adding descriptions, and you'll be adding another field. All right, just so you know. Now, one of the things that I did that's actually different, just so you're aware of this, it's actually different from what was in the actual database, etc. itself, is if I come in here and I view the designer, you don't have to do this, but I just wanted to show it to you. If I come through here and I view the designer, notice the description. It says nvarchar max. The one that they had was either 100 or 500. But max is up to 2 gig. Now, none of you are going to put something in there that's 2 gig. I get that. But you can make this pretty much as long as you want for a description. All right? All right, so we've got through products here, so that's number 5. Number 6 is, I believe, product vendors. There are more of them. Control A, Control C again. Bring that into here. Paste it in. Run it. Okay. Do my select. I'm just going to do a count star here. Count star from product vendors. And you'll notice there are 90 of them. So I could actually just do a select star from products, scroll my way through here and make sure there's 90. I don't feel like doing that, but we could. All right? So we now have the product vendor stuff in here. All right. So that was number 6. Number 7 are our orders. So number 7 is orders. All right? And there are, I believe it's like 900 some orders in here. So again, Control A, Control C to copy. Then I'm going to paste it in here, and I'm going to run it. There's all my rows of 1 row affected, etc. And again, I'm going to do a select count star from orders, and I'm going to paste it in, and it says there's 937 orders. All right. Finally, I'm going to go and add the last one, which is number 8, which is the biggest one. All right. It's the order details. So this, if there were 900 orders, these are what those 900 orders consisted of. All right. So again, Control A, Control C. I'm going to go back into here again for the last time. I'm going to paste that in, run this. All right, it appears again to have worked, but I'm going to do a select count star from order details. And when I do that, it says there are 3,951 orders. This is by no means the greatest database in the world, but that said, it's fairly reflective of a small company and what they might have. We could go in if we wanted to. We could add ourselves or somebody else or another company as a customer. You could add yourself as an employer. You could do all that stuff. I'm not at all concerned with any of that. All right? But what I have gone through on the handout that I gave you is we open this. We added the sales order. Okay? We open up each one of those files in Notepad++. We right mouse clicked and chose new query. Every time through we cleared out the query window. All right. And we put in those 8, really 9 with the schema, different SQL files. Then every time through here, I did a select count. All right. And the numbers were the same. There were 6 categories, 27 customers, 8 employees, 10 vendors, 40 products, 90 product vendors, 937 orders, and 3951 order details. I will tell you too that virtually everything that was in here for dates was 2016. I just literally manually did a search and replace, and I changed the 2016 to 2019. All right, so it would reflect the current time frame. All right, so once you have done this, our database should be created and populated with records. All right, note, we'll make changes to this database in the future. I already mentioned that to you. So for your next step, I'd like everyone, please, unless you know that you have it, if last year you installed Balsamiq Mockup 3, it doesn't work anymore. If you did it last year, because it went away at the end of August. You can still bring up the product, but when you try to make changes and save it and stuff, you won't be able to. So what you might want to do, in fact, I'll do the same thing. I've got it, but I'm going to just remove it. So I'm going to come up here and bring up Control Panel. And under Control Panel, I'm going to find, what is it? I always forget. Programs and Features. All right. And I have Balsamiq Mockup 3 already. And it is the latest one. I don't care. I'm going to uninstall it anyway. But if you've got an older version than 3.5.17, which is the newest version, if you've got an older version, right mouse click and choose Uninstall. If you don't have it in there at all, then don't worry about it. All right? So it wants to make changes. Yes, I'm going to let it. It's going to come through there. I don't remember if it asks me. Sometimes you get prompted an additional time. Sometimes it just goes in and removes it. All right, and when you look in here, it's now gone. All right, so I'm going to go out to the same site I'm asking you to go out to, which is balsamiq.com/wireframe/desktop. And if you go out to that site, looks like this. All right, and yeah, there's a download button there, but you're best off clicking the big one that's right there. See that? That should download onto your machine. All right, Balsamiq Mockups 3 for Windows, 3.5.17. So I'm going to click that. Of course, we always read all of the end user license agreements, and then we agree with them. All right? So it brings this wherever, when you download stuff, wherever it goes. For me, it's now put it in my download folder. It's 15.3 megs, so it's not a humongous package. So I'm going to right mouse click on that, the exe file, and I'm going to say open, where you should get this. All right? And I'm going to say run. Usually it comes back and it says, hey, are you sure you want to do this? Yes. So it should be going through. If you're asked any questions, and you might not be, but if you're asked any questions, just choose all the defaults. All right, so I'm going to click the install button. All right, says I'm finished. Now, I don't really want to run it right now. Yeah, in fact, I will. Yeah, that's a good idea. So, no, that's run the execute. I don't want to do that. I'm just going to click Finish. What you should see now, if you come into your bar, a couple things. First of all, if I come over to here, okay, and I refresh, I don't even know how I refresh there, but if I refresh, it should be back. There it is, Balsamiq Mockup 3. So, it should be there now when you go in through Control Panel. And if I come in here and I type in Balsamiq, I should have this little, and it's a little smiley face. I should be able to click there and start it up. It's up to you whether you put a copy any place. you know, a shortcut to your desktop or whatever, or put it on your taskbar. I don't care. All right, but it comes up and it looks like this. Now this, yours won't be look like this. This is one I opened up in here. All right, but what I want you to do is click under Help, and under Help, go to Register. So click Help and go to Register. We can use the product, but only partially the way it currently is set up. All right? Now going back to here, on this handout that I gave you, it says what we're supposed to use is for the license name should be Rankin Space 2019. I would copy it in, you know, just literally put that in. And if you say, well, I don't have that file, let me know. I thought that I put it in here. All right? But, so that's it. So that's it. The license key is a pain in the behind. And just to be sure, what I'll do is I'll grab these two lines right here, just to make sure that everybody has those. All right? I'm going to just make sure. So I'm grabbing those few lines that are right there. And all right. This is the same email I gave you before. I'll just add onto it. All right. And I will reply all, put myself in there, and put that in here. All right. So it's got both the license name and it has the key. All right. Click Send. You should all have it now. All right. So I'm going to go back into here, back into Balsamiq, and click Help, Register. Then for in here, I'm going to put in, not that, that's the other one. I'm going to put in Rankin 2019. You know, again, you can grab them right from here, right from the email I just sent you. All right. So the license name should be Rankin Space 2019. And the license key should be this mess that's right here. And I talked electronically with people from Balsamiq who gave me this. They said it is case sensitive. If you miss one letter, you screw it up, it won't work. All right? So for the key, I'm putting that in, and I'm clicking Register. All right? It says your app is in trial mode. It is until August 31st of 2020. Okay? And they give it to us for free every year, but they ask us to re-register every year. And the reason for that is, for example, you people will be graduating in May of 2020. They don't want to keep making it available for all of you for free. Make sense? All right. All right, so we've gone through that. Finally, believe it or not, I'm almost done with what I had for you for today. All right? Now, there is a thing that was given to you in what I had you download before. All right? And that is, there is when you open up the folder, there is a folder called Balsamiq. When you open that up, there is a Word file in it. I didn't make it a PDF. Just kept it as a Word file. And what this has in it is, it's called First Project. And you make 4 different pages. You don't have to turn this in, but I would like you to go through this project and go through it very deliberately, because you will start to learn how to use Balsamiq. One of the things for this particular project is every page that you add, I want you to wireframe. So if you're going to have 15 pages, you're going to have 15 wireframes. The way that this stuff is set up, just so you know, if you go through this project that's here, there's like a home page, an about page, I think a services page, and a contact page. I believe it's those 4. Let's see, home, products and services, there you go. About us, and contact. There is some interactivity in this software. In other words, you will literally put hyperlinks on your page, you'll be able to click those and go back and forth from page to page. But I want this, we're doing the whole shebang, so to speak, here. So you are taking a project and you are showing people, all right, because I'm going to, we are going to do some of it as a class, but you're going to have actual requirements and you're going to wireframe it and you're making it your own project. All right. Now, other things that we might do, it's going to depend on timing and how much I can get done and what I can get to work. What I hope we're going to be able to do at the end is to go in, I think I've told you about this before, and to go into the PayPal sandbox and actually set this up so that people can make transactions. They're dummy transactions. You're not really going to go out and buy a $1,200 bike, but it'll do that. And you'll be able to put in a credit card number. Don't put in your own, but you'll be able to put in credit card numbers, etc., and see all that stuff. To me, if we can do that, that's pretty doggone good. All right, if we don't get that far, then we don't, but I'm hoping we do. All right, I've done that before. I did it with the people a year ago, but we had problems, so I went back and did it as a JavaScript project, so it was client-side only. We got it to work. If for some reason we can't get it to work in here, I'll go back and do that with you. All right? All right, so we've now come through here. I told you this. Copy that exactly as shown. Do this. Notice, there's no points for this. All right, so well, I'm not doing it. There's no points. Then you're not doing it. But you will be wireframing each and every page you create for this site. That's why I want you to go through it so you get some experience in using the tool. All right? Finally, as it says here, the project must be version control. We went through this the other day. All right? What I'd like you to do is every day that you work on this, when you get done that day, all right, I'd like you to go in there, each day and save it and push it back up to your GitHub repository that's on github.com. Even if that means there's 30 or 40 of them in there, that's fine. There won't be 30 or 40. We've got about 10 weeks left. We'll work on this 2 days a week. So if you've got about 20 of them in there, that's fine. I want you to come up with your own way. Remember you've got to write, you should write a comment for these, etc. You should come up with some standard way of you writing comments. You might put the date in there and say, this particular version contains the following updates or additions, and list them. Because why? Because now if you go out and you apply for a job and they ask if you've got anything out on GitHub, this hopefully will be one of the things you can point to. All right? And it'll look like you have an idea of what you're doing. This is the one I went over with you from the I Am Tim Corey. All right? If you found that too hard to understand, this was another one I went through this weekend. It's really not bad. It's from a guy named Bill Raymond. He's not a developer. All right? And it's about 20 or 25 minutes long, something like that. All right? I had no idea how long this would take. If it would take an hour, if it would take 2 hours, I didn't know. All right? I'm in the middle of writing up actual project 1, what we're going to be working on tomorrow. Okay? And I have no idea how long it's going to be, but I want to do all that and go through many of the steps tomorrow. Then I'm going to say, now, for the rest, you do this, 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 and this. And then you're going to have Friday to work on it. All right? In an ideal world, on Friday, all of you will be able to give me your completed sports store project. So you can get some points for that. I've fallen behind on grading. Since Friday is going to be lab all period, I plan on grading for both of my classes all period. You should have everything graded, hopefully at least, by Friday, unless you turn in something later on Friday. But I'd like to catch back up as well. All right. So the rest of the period today, you can go through this balsamic thing, this project. You can go back, especially if you got headphones, and watch one or both of these. Tomorrow we're going to start by creating the repository. All right. Once we do that, and then we're going to create the project. And once we go in and create the project, we're going to take advantage of the scaffolding. I'm not doing any ninject stuff like the author did. There'll be no interfaces, so it's not going to be nearly as well written as the authors. But hopefully, especially if you struggled with understanding some of this stuff, it'll make a lot more sense to you. All right? You're going to get a lot of the code that we put in here. But there's going to be a lot of other stuff. I'm going to say, as an example, we did Sports Store. You all know that. Okay? We're going to do it our shopping cart will be similar, not identical, but similar to what we did in Sports Store. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the bike company puts a 10% tax on everything they sell. So I want you to add the tax. So in other words, what you're going to have to do is every time somebody makes a purchase, not only will you have to add that to their total bill, but you'll have to figure out the tax and add that, and then add up their subtotal to their tax total to get a grand total. And if they remove something from their cart, you'll have to do it in the other direction. Does all that make sense? Questions? All right. So at least you have an idea. I'm going to spend the rest of the period today trying to really flush out what I want us to do in part 1. All right? You will be given some time in class to work on this. How much? I don't know. If we get everything done tomorrow, then you'll be given all period Thursday and all period Friday. All right? But hopefully, as you'd imagine, since you'll be getting quite a bit of time, there's going to be quite a bit that you're going to be asked to do. And part of the grade that you're going to get on this, that's the other thing. I'm writing up the entire rubric for it. But part of the grade is going to be on how professional it is. Is, well, I'm not a professional. No. If it looks as good as the sports store does, at least. All right? But anything that you put in there from your homepage on is your own touch. The fonts you use, the colors that you use, whether or not your navigation bar is dark or light, the color buttons you use, how consistent you are in everything. That's the kind of stuff I'm going to be looking for. All right? And that's all that I had. So again, tomorrow, sometime tomorrow, in the morning probably, you'll get another email from me, which will have, again, a hard copy or an electronic copy of this. And I'll run you off a hard copy, and then we will go over that tomorrow. And we will actually start going through the steps. I would recommend that you don't do anything else on this. Don't start your GitHub. Don't come in there and create the project. You can, if you say, well, I'm doing it anyway, then you're going to do it. All right? But I want to make sure I've gone through everything. Just to show you as an example, I think I've got it here, but I'm going to find out. So let me do a file, close solution here, save anything. Because I've just been playing around with it. All right? So if I run mine, all I've got in here right now for mine, no, this is the other one. I want to run. No, that is not it. Well, I'll have to find it, but I will show you. Mine, all I have right now on it is what I did was I took the Jumbotron, went out and found a really nice picture of a bicycle, and I've got that in there. And I went out, believe it or not, there actually is bicycle lipsum. So I put a few paragraphs of that in. Why? Well, I'm not turning mine in. All right. And I've got a little bit of stuff in my layout file. I put a little bit of code in there for the CSS and a little bit of code in my home controller, not the controller, the home view. That's it. I can't find it right now, and I'm not sure why. But if I find it, I will bring it up, I will put it up there and I will show it to you. All right?